Hello, everybody. This is Carl Johnson of CJ Behavior Coaching and Consulting, and welcome back once again to our weekly podcast. We are on our third part of this weekly podcast where we're talking about self-awareness. And in the first 2 weeks, the first question we were focusing on was, what are your buttons? We were talking about what are the things that frustrate you, get you going, irritate you, what are your pet peeves? And in last week's part 2, we were asking the question, am I controlling? So you were asking yourself, am I controlling? And you were going to look at, are you controlling? And we talked about sometimes when we are controlling, we tend to overwork ourselves, we overdo things, we get really stressed out, and at some point down the line, we become very resentful because we feel like we're doing everything. We also talked about other questions. Am I doing everything? Do I feel like I'm the only one who could do things right? If I don't do it, will it ever get done? Those kind of things. So thank you so much for your responses. And so today we're going to move on to part 3. And we're going to ask our third question in our weekly podcast. And the third question is, are you a perfectionist? So you want to ask yourself, so hopefully you have out your pen and paper. Again, that we write, remember, there's 8 parts to this self-awareness part. So the third question is, am I a perfectionist? So that's something you're going to ask yourself. Do you need to be perfect? Do things need to be perfect? Now, you might ask yourself, what in the world does that have to do with child behaviors? It has a lot to do with child behaviors because it has a lot to do with your expectations of children. Because if you happen to be a person who is a perfectionist, it is very possible that you are expecting your child to also be perfect. It is also possible that you are looking for people in the environment who are helping you with your child to also be perfect. And if you're talking about expectations, if you expect your child to be perfect, they can never they're never going to meet that. They're never going to meet that expectation. And what happens to a child who can't meet your expectations is eventually they begin to give up. So you want to ask yourself, am I a perfectionist? And you want to ask yourself, where did that come from? Do you know where that come from? Did you have caregivers who are perfectionists? Are you around people who need everything perfect or think everything should be perfect? So part 3, am I a perfectionist? The question you need to ask yourself in this part 3 of our 8 parts of this self-awareness weekly podcast, where we're going to answer these questions first before we even get to talk about what you should do in difficult child behaviors or how to prevent child behaviors, and all of the fun stuff we're going to talk about as well, not just difficult behaviors. We're going to talk about some of the fun stuff like how to reward your child properly and how to give positive attention and positive feedback to your child. So, are you a perfectionist? Be real with yourself. Remember, this is self-awareness. If you feel like you are a perfectionist, then that's what you will answer on your paper, yes. All I want you to do is ask yourself, do you know why you are a perfectionist or you tend to try to be a perfectionist? Okay? So thank you so much for checking back into our weekly podcast where we're talking about self-awareness. This is Carl Johnson of CJ Behavior Coaching and Consulting. And you can always check us out on Instagram at CJ Empowers Parents. You can also check us out on Facebook at CJ Empowers. And if you have any questions, you want to give some feedback, response to these podcasts, you can email us at cjempowersparents@gmail.com. You can also just give me a call at 480-740-4976. And we can just talk about some things you want to talk about that have nothing to do with self-awareness. So again, this is Carl Johnson of CJ Behavior Coaching and Consulting. Thank you so much for checking into our podcast. And please check us out on YouTube on our channel, CJ Behavior Coaching. Thank you and have a great day.